minutes, guys, I am, as I always say, I'm excited. But because I love my guests, guys. They're amazing. They're unique. They bring together different stories for you to listen to. And tonight's show, I have the honor to introduce to you Kate Haberl. And Kate is a student attending University of Toronto in Toronto. And here she is. So welcome, Kate. Hi, hon.
Hi. Thank you
How
so
are
much
you?
for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure, sweetheart. It is my pleasure. I know of you because we met through Instagram, your postings, everything that you do, but some people might know of you and some people don't know of you. So if you could just introduce yourself to the viewers, hon, go for it.
Hi, I'm Kate. I go to the University of Toronto. I'm my second year there. I'm a double major in International Relations and Anthropology with a minor in Classical Civilizations. And I'm really passionate about getting youth involved and improving my community. So excited to be here.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure, hon. Now, I don't usually do this with students. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So I kind of feel out everybody in their own way. The courses that you chose, what was your first going into university? What was the first one that you chose? Is it the same one going through into the second year or?
So when you start at U of T, you don't have like your programs picked out. You just kind of get to sample courses. And then at the end of your first year, you apply.
Oh.
Yeah, so in my first year, I was really excited about taking history courses and anthropology courses, and it just kind of worked for me. So that's kind of what I applied for at the end of my first year.
Okay, so just asking now, why did you choose why did you choose these type of courses? Like why? What got you into it? Because it seems very interesting, really, really unique, really cool.
Yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to my high school teachers. I had some really fantastic history teachers, and they just fostered a love for that in me. So that's why I took history. And honestly, I love people. I'm a total people person, and I love learning about new cultures and new places. So anthropology, which is the study of people, was kind of just a natural fit for me, I think.
All right. Now, was it when you say you love people? I don't want to get into your story because you got some pictures that's going to show through segment one, the end of segment one, segment two, that's going to delve into your story. But when you say you love people, because you got that gorgeous smile, you're engaging, what is it you love about people? I want to know more about people and do more with people.
I think one thing is every person has such a unique life experience. And every time I talk to someone, it's just a chance to learn from their experience and tell them about my experience and to foster that new connection. I love getting to know people. You know, I have a huge group of friends because I just think it's so wonderful to be able to learn from one another and to just get to do life together.
Okay. What keeps you so upbeat, hon? Like you're so upbeat, like you've got that gorgeous smile. So I think anybody that meets you and the pictures that we show throughout your story will tell about you. But what keeps you so upbeat? And we're going to get into other COVID stuff, but what keeps you so upbeat?
Yeah, I'm a hopeful person, you know, and I think every day I go out into the world and there's so many wonderful things around me, you know. I think sometimes you have to look a little harder, but
Yes.
there are always just those special things, you know, every time I see a dog when I'm out on a walk or watching the leaves turn in the fall, you know, I just look around and I think as cliche as it is, like what a wonderful world. And I get to be here and I get to live in it. And I have wonderful people in my life. So there's a lot to be happy about.
Beautiful, hon. Returning back to university now, okay? Getting down to the ground roots here. And your second year, and you already have been online with post-secondary because of COVID, but now returning and your whole semester, your whole year is gonna be online. How has that been? How can you help students? What is your challenges? How's it been dealing with it?
Mhm. I think, you know, it's kind of an exciting challenge. It presents
Ooh,
me a lot of opportunities to learn new skill sets that I wouldn't have if we weren't online.
okay.
Definitely, I think the biggest problem is motivation, you know, making sure that I'm hitting the books and staying on track. So my best advice for students on that is, you know, get an agenda, use a calendar, get a study buddy, just make sure that you're being consistent. and find ways to foster connection online. So maybe a Zoom call with some of your classmates, or start a Facebook group so you can chat and get to know people, or find stuff that's still in person if you're near your campus. Like I right now I'm playing intramural bocce on campus, which has been
Sorry,
really
sorry,
fun.
sorry, sorry. What was that? Intramural bocce?
Intramural bocce.
Okay, well, you got to sell this to me because that sounds pretty cool. Please
It is.
tell. Come on.
It's super fun. I'm in a bocce league, so every Tuesday night I go to campus and I play bocce, and I've been meeting a lot of new people. It's a really fun way to get out and do something socially distanced, get some activity in. I'm getting pretty good.
Now you're gonna laugh at this, okay? I'm gonna ask you because people that might know it, but I don't.
Mhm.
What is bocce? Because I'm a basketball girl. I know my producer's gonna laugh at this right now. But what is bocce?
Bocce is a little bit like bowling, but if you did it on grass. So there's a little
Okay.
white ball, like the size of a ping pong ball, and you kind of throw it, and then you have some colored, like larger balls, and you kind of roll them like you would roll a bowling ball. And the goal is to just get your balls closer to the white ball than anyone else's. So
Oh my God. So I think I've seen that on movies where those aristocrats they sit there and they roll the balls across the grass. Am I right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Now, being online, I've heard by talking with some students, besides yourself, is that they've said that it's been a pretty heavy type of a year for them
Mhm.
beginning. They feel that it's been a bit of a change going online and it's more heavier. Am I right?
I think it's harder when you're missing that aspect of doing things together.
Okay.
And I think it's also like professors are trying to compensate for the fact that we're not in person with them by giving us, at least for me, like weekly assignments to complete to make sure that we're staying on track. So, I do appreciate that they're trying to help me keep things together, but at the same time, I wish they would be a little easier on us.
Okay. Can you what would you like easier? I'm being the devil's advocate here. So what would you like easier? Because we're going to be in this pandemic for a
Mhm,
while, okay? So we'll have to learn how to move forward. So what
mhm.
would you like to see easier and more applicable and to get
I
through?
think one thing that would be really great for me would just be more access to my professors and more opportunities to talk to them the way that I might be able to if we were in person. So for instance, I used to be able to go up to a professor at the end of the lecture and say, "Hey, I didn't really understand this from today." And I just don't think we really get that same kind of communication over email. So I think maybe rather than those weekly like lecture questions or assignments, it might be better to just have like a weekly check-in with your students. But I know, professors teach lots of classes and have lots of students, and that's not always possible. So I appreciate that they're doing the best that they can.
All right. Are you on campus right now or are you outside renting or?
I live in an apartment a little bit off campus, but I'm really close, which is great.
Okay. Now, where you were in Vancouver, right? You were born in
Mhm.
Vancouver?
Yeah,
Okay. So do you keep in touch with your mom and stuff like your parents and stuff like that?
I do. We phone, we email, pictures to each other. I try and go back for visits when I can. I spent all summer there. I moved back home in March and was there until August, which was nice. It's always great to spend time with my friends and family back home. Um, but it's also nice to be back in Toronto.
That's right. Now you shared something with me, and we're going to get into your story, viewers. We're going to get into the story, but let's just learn more about Kate.
Mhm,
All right. Is that you had to go back during COVID, right? Because everybody you had to go back home. You didn't stay in Toronto. So
mhm.
how was that like flying on a plane? Can you share with the viewers on that? Because some people are still traveling and they have some,
Mhm.
precautions and stuff about it. So how did you handle that, Kate?
Yeah, it was really strange. I flew home late March, so still kind of the beginning of the pandemic. And I remember that I was the only person at security, and it was so strange because Toronto Pearson is such a busy airport. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Right.
And then on the plane home, I had empty rows all around me, which was honestly, it was great. I could finally sleep comfortably on a plane,
Okay.
so no complaints. But the flight attendants were really careful. They made sure that we were staying apart. and everyone wore masks. And then when I flew back in August, it was the same. I had lots of space to myself, which again, I loved. The airport was super empty, and they had even stepped things up. So when I got on the plane, they gave me a little bag that had hand sanitizer and gloves and a water bottle. So I think it's totally safe to fly as long as you are taking the appropriate precautions. Wear a mask, wash your hands lots, carry hand sanitizer, and don't get too close to anyone.
All right, I'm going to ask you this before we go to break now, is that we've got the numbers high, got the numbers rising up right now.
Mhm.
What is your words of wisdom, my love, to young people by keeping the mask, wearing the mask where you're supposed to,
Mhm.
2-meter distance? What is your message to them, being a student and doing what it takes?
Yeah, I think it is so important right now that we're following public health precautions, especially for students who are away at university. Make sure that you are keeping your bubbles small, because really, if we want to be able to go back to normal, we're going to have to stop being normal now. So if we want normal later, we can't have normal now. Especially with Thanksgiving coming up this weekend, please make sure that you are socially distancing from everyone, because no one wants to, get COVID along with their Thanksgiving turkey.
You got it, huh? Now, she's not leaving, guys. I just wanted her to say that because she's got such an interesting story. We've got some pictures that you're going to see at the end of segment 1, and we're going to just dive right into it. On that note, we'll be right back with Kate Haberl. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Future Prospects with the beautiful Kate Haberl. Hey, Kate, great segment, honey. Awesome. But I got to ask you something. Let's go back to the beginning of when you started university.
Mhm.
COVID came in. Okay, everything went to pots. Like your first year, all of a sudden you're getting to know new people, some people that are going there, you're going out, doing the experience of university, which you've lived for since grade 12 and talked about it at prom. Boom, COVID comes in, gotta go back in your dorm, chill out. Okay, how did you deal with that?
It was definitely a shock. My parents had come out to visit me, and I was out to lunch with them when I found out that my classes were canceled. And then they went home, and a couple days later, I found out that I was probably going to be going home soon too. Once they announced the classes were canceled, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with my dorm room. And so I was kind of living on the edge for the week. And then on Wednesday, I got an email saying, please leave by the end of this week, like Friday. So less than 48 hours notice, I was on the phone, scrambling to find someone to help me, move out of my dorm. And I lived at the top of a 4-floor, walk up. So
Wow.
I had to haul all my stuff down these windy staircases because there was no elevator. And then pack it all away at my grandparents before I got on a plane and went home I didn't have any idea how long I was going home for either.
Wow. And then all of a sudden you had to go online.
Yeah.
And it was crunch time too, because you're talking March. So exams are just around the corner.
Yeah, I remember the day after I was moving out, I was taking a midterm on my computer.
Right. Oh my gosh. So, okay. I don't want to lose what we want to talk about. I just want to ask you, because we've got time. How did you get through that in just 1 minute and a half? Can you just share with the viewers, giving the ones hope now that's going to be still dealing with this, as what we're all going to be dealing with this? But
Yeah, I think again, everyone was understanding, what was going on. No one really knew what was happening. It was all
no,
very up in the air. We were kind of watching the news day to day to try and figure out what is this? What's going on? Where do we go from here? It was quite a shock. I had been preparing for months to take these finals, and then kind of the rug got pulled out from under me and they were going to be completely different.
Right.
So some of my classes we did essays instead of final exams, and some of my classes we still did exams just on the computer. And my professors were really understanding. It was a big shock for them too. I think a lot of them had to learn how to create these online exams. And the other thing that was nice was knowing, I didn't really have a chance to say goodbye to my friends at university. It was very sudden. We all kind of moved out at once and went all around the world. But we did have that kind of supportive community. And so I'd encourage students to try and as much as possible and like maintain that community. And if you're a first year, hopefully you have some friends from high school who you can lean on. Just make sure that you are you're staying connected and that there's someone in your life who you can say, hey, I'm feeling stressed and I have no idea how to submit this exam or no idea what I'm supposed to do for this essay. Because talking it out was really helpful to me, having people there to be like, it's okay. No one knows what's going on. You're not alone. Was really encouraging. And, at the end, I got through it all and now I'm here, and now online classes are all I know. Old hat now.
Awesome. See, so you can get through things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice of the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, honey. So, Forum on Climate Change. There was a beautiful picture that you were so sweet to share with me, as well as the other pictures are going to show up throughout the show. Tell us about that. How did you get involved? Why you got involved? Because you wear many hats, Kate, many hats. So share with the viewers, hon, please.
Yeah, I grew up in Vancouver, and
Right.
I feel like Vancouver's we're known for being a little bit, we're like nature hippies.
Nature hippies? Okay, never heard that one before.
We love to hike. We like to camp.
True.
Surfers, swimmers.
True.
All about the nature. And so naturally, I think, I love nature. I love the outdoors, and I think it makes sense that I would want to protect it.
Yes.
So when I started high school, I got really involved with my school's environment club. And then over the years in high school, I, got more and more involved and took more responsibility. And then by grade 12, I was the president of the club, which was really special. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Climate change obviously is something I'm super concerned about. It's a very pressing issue, and I think we can already see the effects.
Yes.
Winter gets warmer in Toronto every year. And I haven't seen, there hasn't been snow in Vancouver in a while. So I think we can already see that our lives are being affected. Our glaciers are melting. Species are dying. It is a scary situation. And I wanted to do something about it. So one of the things that I got to do when I was in grade 12 was organize this forum to bring together a lot of youth at my high school who were really concerned about this issue. And then also people in our community who maybe had more of a voice and had more power than we did. So we had a lot of members of city council come. We had someone from our member of parliament's office. We talked to the people at our MLA's office. Our school principal was really great, and just getting all these adults in the community to come together so that we could say, hey, this is something that we care about. And a lot of us can't vote yet, but we need this to be a priority for you too. And it was a really special event. And then building off of that, a few months later, I got to hold my hometown's first ever Climate Change Action Festival, which,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Where did you hold it? Where did you hold it?
I just did it in our school library. They were really great. They let me book it off for an entire week.
Good.
And so I ran this festival. We had the mayor came, our city council, our member of parliament. I had some university professors, some scientists. I got to speak, which, I think I was the highlight. But we had more than 600 students participate.
How many?
In this forum. 600.
Wow, Kate. Continue, hon.
It was this really great chance to get people involved. And also in my grade 12 year, I helped convince my hometown to declare a state of climate emergency and really show that they were making it a priority. And I also got to work on legislation that was introduced as bills in the House of Commons. So it was a really good year for me. And I really got to feel like I was making an impact.
Okay, hold up a second here. If that's the English word or not, I really don't care. But anyway, hold up. You mean to say in 1 year you did that?
Yeah, that was all. That was grade 12.
Okay, youth, future leaders, future prospects. You have no excuses because you can use Kate Haberl as a role model, right, Kate?
Yeah, of course. And
Oh my,
I'm always happy, to talk to people. So reach out if
that's
you have
right.
questions.
Because I believe there was a young lady that I got you in contact with, Olivia Rose,
Yeah.
right? So have you contacted each other?
Yeah, we've been talking. She's really great. I think we have a lot of similar interests. So it's been great getting to know her.
Awesome, hon. So that just shows you Kate's not sitting down. She's moving on. Getting back on climate change.
Mhm.
That is amazing. That is amazing to be part of a legislator to push things through. As a young person, we're all immersed right now with COVID. We're immersed into
Mhm.
it, right? But we've forgotten something very important that my husband has talked about and many youth have talked about, especially yourself. Why, how do I say this? Why is it so important to bring it back to conversation? Why? Why?
I think conversation is the best way we have to connect right now.
Right.
Conversation is how we learn about one another. It's how we build our communities. And I think communities, especially during COVID, are really important because we have to be looking out for one another. We have to be making sure that we don't lose our normalcy and lose our community because we all have to stay at home and wear masks. And conversation is a great way to do that.
Okay. But now the importance of, and if I didn't say that right, you said that very, very well, but let me just reword it. Climate change.
Mhm.
We see the changes. We see the climate changing, the weather changing. You've got hurricanes here, you've got waters here, you've got Los Angeles, like fires are coming out, like it's just nonstop. Australia. Why is it that we should take concern to it and not close our eyes and think, oh, well, why?
Because this is our world. We only have one Earth, as much as we might be jetting off to Mars in a few years. Right now, Earth is all we've got. And, you know, it's beautiful. I love my Earth. I got to grow up in the mountains and at the ocean. And now I get to live, and see all these forests and these beautiful, like pristine landscapes, especially in Canada. We're so lucky to have a lot of natural beauty.
Yes.
Um, and not only should we want to preserve that for future generations, but climate change also, impacts our safety, right? Like we're losing clean water, we're losing, regular weather patterns. How long until we're dealing with earthquakes and fires and hurricanes all the time? And that's just not a world that anyone can really live in.
Right.
How long until Vancouver's underwater, right? Like these are things that are going to massively impact our quality of life, and we can't let that happen.
Do you think we're listening, Kate?
Um, I think for the most part, people are. I
Right.
have to say, I wish that we were taking more drastic action. I wish that, especially older people, were taking more of an interest. To
Yes.
me, most of the people I meet who are organizing are youth, and I
Right.
understand because we're the ones who have the most to lose, right? Like
Right.
we're going to be here for the longest.
That's right.
But I want to impress on people who are my parents' age or my grandparents' age that like you are impacting the futures of your kids or your grandkids or your great grandkids, and that's something you should care about. Even if you don't care for yourself, care for the people who are going to come after you, and come out and help.
That's right, hon. And it's so true because you are going to inherit this,
Mhm.
right? We are. Are you continually doing this? Are you still involved even though you're at school right now?
Yeah, things are a little different now that I'm in university. I
Right.
don't run my high school's club anymore,
Sure,
but
sure.
I am the events director of the Sustainability Commission at my college within the University of Toronto. So I still
Awesome.
get to do that organizing work. And every few Fridays, you can find me out at a Friday for Future rally in Toronto. Asking the people at the legislature and in Ottawa to please help us deal with climate change and to make that a priority. So
Well,
Still involved.
sweetheart, we're here at Sorry, did you say something? Sorry?
No, I just said still
Okay.
involved.
You got it, honey. So you know something? With this interview, with this show, we're going to make sure we're going to push it forward and hashtag and send it all over. On that note, we're going to come back with the amazing Kate Haberl. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back, folks, with the beautiful Kate Haberl. And I'm going to keep saying that because you are beautiful. You're beautiful not only on the outside, hon, but also on the inside. You're a pleasure to have on the show. The last picture that we left off with on segment 2 that segued over to commercials was you with the mayor and you were doing community involvement, community work. And you had a beautiful picture there. Explain who the mayor is, please, and why the importance of community and why you got involved and what that story is all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am from a city called New Westminster. It's the original capital of British Columbia and the oldest city in Western Canada. And the mayor that's in that picture with me is Jonathan Cote. He's been our mayor, we think this is his second term, so 6 years now, maybe.
Okay.
If you're seeing this and I got that wrong, I'm sorry, Mr. Cote.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I got to go to City Hall when I was in grade 12. I was invited for lunch with City Council and the mayor because of all my community involvement, but that lunch specifically was about my involvement with a program called the New Westminster Hayek Ambassador Leadership Program, which means that for a year I got to put on pretty dresses and a sash and a crown, and I got to be on parade floats around the Pacific Northwest and wave to lots of people. I have my wave all put together, and just represent my community, which was such a fun experience and just, one of the many community involvement things I did.
All right. Now, when you say community involvement, was it overall community involvement, or were you trying, being a young student, a young person, were you trying to engage young people to be involved within their community?
I think, in general, I think community
Yes.
involvement is amazing and everyone should be involved with their community. But I, as a young person, I'm always trying to get my peers involved because I think, this is our future and we have to do something about it if we want to make it look the way we want it to, like if I want to inherit a certain world, I need to work towards that world.
Right.
So that's why I really got involved, and that's why I'm really pushing other people my age to get involved too.
Okay. Do you feel that youth are speaking up more now, Kate? Do you find that they're more persistent, they're more vocal, they want to stand for something because, as you said, they don't want to inherit these issues that we're dealing with right now? So do you feel that? Do you see that?
I think absolutely, yes. I think youth are way more involved now than we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We're really stepping up. And I've been really proud to be a part of some of those movements and to see the people around me kind of harness their gifts and work together. So it's, I think, a really special time to be a young person, and a really inspiring time to be a young person. Because as much as we're facing issues, we're also coming up with some really innovative solutions to those issues.
Okay. Why do you, I'm going to ask, community involvement issues. You've seen COVID-19. I'm going to go there. Okay. You've seen COVID-19. You've heard, you've seen it, you've dealt with it, you've gone online, but you've also seen the conversation of racism. Do you mind if I talk about that for a little bit?
Go ahead.
Okay. So now community involvement, having a voice, you've seen marches that surrounding on television, if it be a campus or anything, and even within our own country, Canada, that the voice, young people want to see action. They want to see equality. They want to see change. What is your voice on that? Being a young person, being a great leader and a great voice.
Yeah, this summer I spent a lot of time learning about issues like racism in Canada that are
Yes.
systemic because, as a white person, I can't really understand racism. And so
Okay.
I try and come from a perspective of learning about others' experiences.
Right.
One thing that I did in response to knowing that I and a lot of youth like me wanted a space to be able to talk about this and be able to come up with what we think needs to be done is I started a club at the University of Toronto called the Unsanitized Project. And we
Yes.
we meet weekly,
Yes.
we plan events, and it's really just created to be a safe space where people of any marginalized community, whether that's you're a racial minority or a religious minority, or you are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, there is a space for you there, and it's a space for people to learn and for people to share their experiences so that we can just create a bond as a community, and then from that community talk about where do we want to go from here, what action do we want to see, and how can we make that happen. So that's just my little thing that I've kind of done in response, but I've been so inspired by all of the amazing youth, even just that I know personally, who are stepping up and learning and protesting and trying to make sure that their voice is heard. It's been kind of a sad summer to realize that we're still dealing with issues like racism, but also a happy summer as I think we see progress towards a future where we're maybe not having to deal with that anymore.
Right, hon. Stories within that. I'm so proud of you because you're bold, you're courageous. Like you really are, Kate. And I think you've heard that from your parents, but I'm going to tell you here on television that you really are. And I'm proud to see when young people can step up and not be afraid to have a voice on any platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But now within your initiative that you put out there, what can you share one story that you have heard within your conversation? You don't have to mention names,
Mm-hmm.
but what is it that you've heard and what's come out of it?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think I have learned so much from every story that's been shared. People have been so brave and so open, and I'm really thankful for that, that people have found that it is a safe space. We had one young woman, she is a Muslim, and she shared about kind of the anti-Muslim things that she's faced over the past couple of years, and how hard it's been for her to kind of live out her religious identity, and how pressured she felt to like stop doing what she felt was right because she was facing harassment for it. And I think hearing her story and hearing about how much strength she had to persevere and do what she knew was right and to express herself the way she wanted to express herself in spite of these terrible ways that people were treating her was so inspiring to me, and it really reminded me to keep fighting for what is right and for what you should be doing, and to not let anyone tear you down.
That's right. Why should you not let anyone tear you down, if it be the color of your skin, your gender, where you're born, who you believe in, who you choose to believe in, freedom of speech within not ignorance, but with intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? From Kate Haberl, why?
I think if you're doing what is right, there are always going to be people who want to do the wrong thing because the wrong thing is easy and the right thing is hard. And so if you are doing the hard work, don't let people who are too scared or too lazy or too insecure to do what you're doing tell you that what you're doing is wrong. So have confidence in yourself and have confidence in what you believe in.
Wow. When you gonna run for government, girl?
Maybe give it a few years.
Yeah, give it a few years. I ask a lot of my students out on the show, but we just need youth voices, to be more like out there, and you're doing it. What is it that you love about yourself, sweetheart? What is it when you look in the mirror? And I ask everybody this, but I know what I see. You're a leader, you're an advocate, you're going to do so many great things with your life. But when you look in the mirror, what is it that Kate sees every single day that she wakes up and she goes, another great day? Because I feel it right across the screen here through Zoom, whatever this little thing's called, like, but what is it that you see, pretty girl?
Yeah, I love that I can go into any room and talk to just about anyone. I love that I can make people feel welcomed. I love that I get to play a part in building communities. And, I love that I get to spend every day doing things that I'm interested in, doing things that I believe in, and that I get to have that voice and just improve the world I live in.
Okay, you know something, because that's important for me to ask, because a lot of young people don't love who they are. We're talking about mental health now within COVID and things like that, and having a voice. When you say what you say, being part of it, were you afraid of stepping up and doing something within your area, like doing something on on racism? Were you afraid? Did you have any, can you just share a little bit about that? Because that's very bold, very, very bold.
I think, it's scary every time you step up and say that you're going to do something new, regardless
Right.
of what area it's in. But
Yes.
you're right. In particular, doing something about racism was not an area I had experience in. And it wasn't an area I was super comfortable in because, again, as a white person, I kind of thought, like, is it really my place to be stepping up here? But I think what I've discovered is that by stepping up, I've created a space for people who have dealt with racism, who experience it, that they maybe wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm creating a space for people like me to take a step back and to learn, which was something that I needed. And I think it's a really important thing, actually, because I think a lot of the racism that we're dealing with comes from people who look just like me. And so maybe what people who look just like me, who have those prejudices or who are racist, maybe they needed a space created by someone who looked like them for it to finally get through. So I think the more I do it, the more I'm inspired by the other people who are stepping up and joining me. And I think as time goes on, the more I'll be able to take a backseat and just learn. But I am glad that I did something.
Why are you glad, huh? Why?
Because I've already seen how it can improve my community and how it can improve me, and I think any space that provides an opportunity for students to get together and to heal and to grow can't be a bad thing.
Why? It can't be a bad thing, right? It can't be a bad thing, right, Kate?
So
Oh my God. You're amazing, hon. I don't want to take, I just want you to answer this real fast, but I don't want to take away from you. Do you see change coming though? Do you see? Are you positive about it?
I am. I think I see change on the horizon. I'm really hopeful that we're going to push for more change and keep these things moving, keep, pushing forward. And I think, each election, each year, each new graduating class, we are seeing that our world is changing for the better. And so that's something I am really excited about.
Oh my God. Oh, you're just amazing. You really are. You really are. Like, I don't want to get into another subject because I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at you and I don't want to take away from anything. So on that note, we're going to come back, guys, with Kate Harberl. Stay tuned. Phenomenal job, sweetheart. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Future Prospects with the beautiful Kate Haberl. Hi, Kate. Feeling good?
I am feeling great.
Awesome, honey. I gotta go back to the previous conversation. I just want to ask you something before we get into the two pitches. Okay. Your project was unsanitized project. And you're laughing because we talked off camera. So that's a very unique title for a project. Why? Real quickly,
Yeah.
why?
The idea was kind of that so often to make our stories acceptable, we're told to, edit or whitewash or sanitize them. And we wanted to promote the fact that you didn't have to do that to be part of our space, that you could come as you were and tell your story as it is. But I want to encourage people, don't sanitize your story, but please sanitize your hands.
No, that's cool. I love it. I love it because it opens it up for a conversation, right?
Mhm.
With it, so it's good. It's really, really good. It catches it. All right. Thank you for that. Two pictures were shown when we digressed through the commercials there, and one was that you're engaging with youth politics,
Mhm.
and we're going to cover that one, and then we're going to talk about Malawi. So, youth politics. What were you saying through that picture while you shared it when I asked you to share some pictures? What?
Yeah, I was at a conference. I was speaking at a
Yes.
conference about female leadership in politics, specifically youth leadership.
Okay.
Um, and it was just a really special opportunity to get up and encourage all these amazing young women around me to stand up in their communities, get loud, get things done. And so, I talked about my experiences working with my MP and city council and the mayor. And now, I've volunteered on a couple political campaigns. I'm just getting more and more involved as time goes on. And I really wanted to impress the importance of that and the importance of making sure, you elect these people, even if you don't vote, they're elected in your community. And so they're supposed to be your voice, at a municipal or provincial or national level. So go talk to them and make sure they know what you care about because that's their job.
That's right. Why is it important? I'm going to ask to be, how would I say this now? Young people are going to be involved in politics more,
Mhm.
right? Because I remember I take this real fast, took a bunch of students down to Queen's Park. And I remember it was Mr. McGuinty, who was the Premier of Ontario at the time. And he said, if you don't speak up, I'm going to install these laws if you don't challenge me on them. So why is it important for youth to speak up when it comes to their political views? Why?
I think kind of exactly what you just said. If we don't speak up, they're going to do what they think is best.
Right.
And sometimes what a politician thinks is best is not what their constituents think is best. And, if you are thinking of an issue and it's important to you, you're probably not the only one. But, sometimes politicians represent tons and tons of people. And so they don't know what you're thinking unless you tell them. So, call them up, let them know.
Do that again. Call them up. Do that.
Call them up.
Call them up. Why is it important to vote? To vote. Why is it important to vote? Like we live in the Western world here. We have a chance to vote and put forth for who we want representing our rights. Why is it important for young people to vote?
I think one of my favorite teachers in high school is my law teacher, and he used to say to us, "Voting is not the most you can do; it is the least you can do."
Ooh.
I always think of, my great grandmother fought to get the vote.
Right.
People of every marginalized community in this country fought to be able to vote,
That's
and
right.
I want to carry on that legacy and acknowledge that voting is not something that we have always been able to do, and it is not a freedom we should take for granted. It is an important part of the democratic process in this country, and maybe you don't care about that. Fine, but you should care about the fact that who you vote for matters because it'll determine who gets to represent you at a municipal, at a provincial, at a national level. And those people make decisions about you. They make decisions about your taxes and the zoning of your house and how much gas costs when you fill up your car. There are far reaching implications, way more than any of us think about. And so voting is like so important. I cannot stress it enough but it is the least you can do.
Well, it's true what you say, and it's so relevant because you look at the price of homes right now, right? You look at everything that you're going to build, or the debt, like, you know, all these CERB, right? That people are going to be like, it's going to be mountable debt that yourselves are going to inherit. And that's why you need to have a voice when things come down the pikes. I don't want to take away from that. So I'm going to just leave you with that one. All right. Malawi. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Okay, that picture with those beautiful little kids surrounding you and your head was just immersed in them. Can you talk about that trip that you took? It was a mission trip, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
can you share with the viewers?
I actually got to go on 3 mission trips while I was in
Okay.
high school. 2 were to Ecuador and 1 was to Malawi, and that was the most recent one. I went to Malawi the summer after I graduated high school, and I went to go volunteer at a school there that's really dedicated to educating these incredibly like poor, like rural village children, which is so important. And I was there teaching English, teaching math, teaching Bible stories, just volunteering my time, and also going into these villages, delivering food, doing whatever we could to help the communities. And it was just a really special experience. I had a really great time. I taught them English and they taught me Chichewa, which is like the native language of a lot of people living in Malawi. It's like no other language that I speak, but learning it from the kids was such a special experience. And it also was really helpful because, finally, when I was teaching English, I could say, oh, I know what this is. I know what you say for this. And now I can teach you what I say.
Right.
Yeah, just a great experience. And that's a fun, candid shot of me learning.
What was the weather like there?
It's so it's quite close to the equator, so it's warm all year round. We were there during the dry season.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's south of the equator. So we were there, I think, kind of during like fall,
Okay.
instead of summer. But yeah, mid-20s, sunny, beautiful. It's a beautiful country.
Okay. When you say the children, um, tell us a little bit about the children for a second. Were the parents around, or were you there just to help them, like educate them? What was the actual mission trip? Just
Yeah, so we worked with a school. It's called Mercy High School.
okay.
And in the summers, they run programs for children from the surrounding villages.
Okay.
Because in Malawi, sometimes children are walking an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours
Yes.
to get to school.
Yes.
And Malawi, I want to stress, it's a fantastic country, but it's very, very poor.
Yes.
And most people are subsistence farmers, so there's not a lot of money for things like education or healthcare. So having the opportunity to get some extra education in the summer is a really big opportunity for a lot of kids. And while we were there, we actually got to work with some of the graduating high school students too, which was
Oh,
special because we were the same age, and it
right.
was so cool to see. We live across the world from each other, but we both graduated high school, and helping them to decide what to do next and study for like university entrance exams was also such a fun, cool experience. But yeah, we worked with this amazing school. We actually got to work on building their second high school, which was so cool. I'm so
Awesome.
excited for all the students who are going to go there. But just helping to provide education was basically the purpose of the trip.
Beautiful, hon. Two things I want to ask you before. Bible stories. Why Bible stories?
Well, I went through my church, and so along with sharing education, we also just want to share, that there's a lot of hope and a lot of love in Jesus,
Yes.
and that's something that I really believe,
Yes.
and that's something that a lot of people in Malawi want to believe. And it was really special because a lot of people in Malawi don't have access to something like a Bible,
Right.
because a lot of people can't read, or don't have a good space to keep a Bible, or there's no store for them to buy a Bible, and so sharing those Bible stories was really special.
I had to ask you that because through your Instagram, you mentioned Jesus. And I had to bring, because that's very personal to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And what church do you go to? What church?
Here in Toronto, I attend a church called C3, but back at home, I go to this amazing church called Caribou Road Christian Fellowship. I love it there. Big community there. That's my, like, I went there all through high school, and that's who I went on the trips with.
Beautiful, huh? Now there's a lot of young people who do believe in the Lord, and this is an open platform on Future Prospects. So when you look at a lot of young people that are dealing with, how would I say, depression through COVID, if it be the children in Malawi, sorry. When you look at them, do you believe that prayer can help them if they talk to the Lord?
I do. And I would encourage you, no matter what you believe, I think that there's a God, and I have a very specific idea of what I think he looks like.
Yes.
And I find a lot of hope in prayer. Um, and, I think that other people can too. So give it a try. I actually, for people in my network who maybe aren't comfortable praying, but, they want to maybe think that there's a being out there who cares about them, I do weekly prayer requests on my Instagram. Just because I want people to know someone out there cares about you and someone wants to make sure that you're doing okay. So if you're a believer, I would encourage you to do something like that. And if you're not, I think my Instagram will be somewhere and you can pop over on Sundays and leave a request.
Awesome, hon. We're coming to the end of the show, pretty girl. What is real fast? What is the next chapter to your life, hon? What do you want to achieve?
I'm just letting things roll. I don't really have any idea what the next chapter looks like. I don't think anybody does. But I'm really excited about the clubs that I'm involved in and the work that I get to be doing right now. And so I'm just going to keep doing my best to make the world a better place. And as new things come up, I'm going to hop on board and get loud and make sure my voice is heard.
Well, you're being loud on Future Prospects, girl, and it has been a delight having you on. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Can you do the heart? I love you, girl. God's all over you, sweetheart. Thank you again, Kate. Thank
you
you.
for having me.
You're welcome, pretty girl. All the best your year at school, okay?
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, Kate. Bye.